how do you go about developing and honing your process so far and even further?
It's definitely pretty feedback based. So every time I do something, I'll just document how I did it and then ask someone. I'm like, hey, how does this sound to you? And like, dude, it sounds great. And I'm like, okay, tick, that works. And document the whole process. This is what I did. And they're like, dude, it sounds kind of muddy. I'm like, okay, don't do that again. See what I can do to make it sound more like this.
But everybody's feedback cannot be important.
Not really, but then you can kind of build out the average from that. If you've got one person saying that the music is great, but then you've got 6 other people saying your mixes need work, I'd listen to those 6. But if I've
And
got
how do you choose these 7 people to take it to, or 10 people?
just people in my life,
Okay.
sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's friends of friends that I just met. So I'm like, okay, you don't know me yet. Man, I'm a composer, producer, and multi-instrumentalist from New Delhi. Here is my upcoming song. Tell me what you think.
Okay.
So try to get as many unbiased perspectives on it as I can.
Doesn't bother you?
Doesn't.
Or
Let it
who
be.
are these people? I don't know what's their understanding of music. And
What's the
why
worst
should I
that could
share?
happen? They tell me something I already know. What's the best that could happen? They tell me something I don't know.
Sure.
What do I have to lose from it? Next to nothing.
It doesn't stay on your mind?
I mean, if they say something that I need to change, then I obviously need to change it. Right? Because if that's something that makes someone feel like my music could go somewhere else, I might as well change that thing. And if lots of people feel that way, I might as well incorporate that change into my process.
Have you ever had a difficulty, a challenge taking in a feedback?
At times, yeah. But where it's been pretty vague feedback, like sound more like this person. And I'm like, okay, well, within my sound, is this good? They're like, how? But I want you to sound more like this person. And that's not helpful advice. Then I just move on to the next person.
Right. And so what were you saying about taking the feedback to different people? I mean, share some example of when you took it.
Yeah, again, with Elysium, I had shared the song pre-release with about, I want to say 20, 30 people and gathered various people's perspectives on it. Not in the form of a survey of it or anything, just like
Right.
every time I met someone new, I
Here's-
would be like, hey, here's the song. Tell me how you feel about it. Then I'd note down people's favorite and least favorite things about it, enhance the favorite ones, and try to mask the least favorite ones as an average overall. Everybody liked different stuff. Everybody disliked different stuff.
Right.
But then there's that some stuff that somehow everybody ended up liking. And then there's the little things that I thought were pretty cool, but that everybody was like, nah, you could do better. So those things, it helps me change that. It helps me get over my own biases for my music.
But what's amazing is that you're able to take that feedback professionally, for the lack of a better word, but for the advantage of the music that you're trying to create. I mean,
Yeah.
very judicially.
It's not always been like that. There's definitely been times in my life, quite recent times in my life, where I've realized I have the problem of being aggressively defensive. But I feel like that's just something that I came up with over the years with the people that I was around growing up. I'm working against that. That aggressively defensive side of me is the one that does go, oh, you don't like what I'm making, you can leave my studio. Things like that. But I feel like
that's also been a part of who you are.
that's been a part of who I have been over the years. I don't want to be that way anymore. While I still want to stand my ground and be like, hey, this is what I think should go. And if you want to change that, give me a really good reason. Now it's not a get out of here anymore.
You just don't want to talk like that or
Yeah.
approach a communication like that.
That too. I feel like when I get aggressively defensive, people stop listening and they're like, okay, you're going to be defensive, then I'm going to attack you. There's something to be defensive against. And then it just devolves into an argument.
And you don't like
I don't like that. I've had way too much of that growing up and it's not worth it.
Were you sort of okay with it back then?
No, I just didn't notice it back
You
then.
didn't notice it.
Because growing up, I was like, oh, this is the way people interact. DPS, that's the way people interact. Some guy says something and then other people are trying not to care, and then one person from the crowd goes "main na sehta," and then everything just becomes about defending it in the most aggressive way possible.
Just
That's
surviving.
just survival.
Hmm.
But we don't need that anymore. We're
Yeah.
not hunter
Yeah.
gatherers.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything that could mean life or death for us. So
Sure.
why switch over to survival tactics when you don't really need to? When you could just listen and get over it if it doesn't work for you.
Hmm. So is that really so? Like in India, even though you come from like a nuclear family and you've had like probably like a non-interfering growing up, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you've had that, but just being in India, you don't feel like you have your own space and your own thinking.
Not so much that. It's
Okay.
more along the lines of just being around the same people all day, every day.
Hmm.
Really hinders your ability to think about them in an objective way.
Hmm.
Like if I'm around the same 5 people day in, day out, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Yeah. No matter how wonderful they
no
are.
matter how wonderful they may
Right.
be, at a certain point, that influences the way I see them, and I
Hmm.
can't anymore be objective about them.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, this is just a part of my life.
Yeah.
Even if these people are coming into my house without my permission, waking me up, insulting me, taking my things and leaving, if that's just something that happens every day, it's a part of reality.
Yeah.
But I pulled back, I pulled away from that and realized it probably shouldn't be a part of reality because I was scared of being alone.
Hmm.
I was really scared of being alone when the social drama started happening.
Hmm.
But then it sucked for a couple of days, and then I realized alone is pretty much exactly what I needed at this time of my life.
And you're fine with it. Actually,
Yeah.
it's better
Yeah.
than the social drama.
I would not be releasing music every month if I did not get that time alone, which is a big thing to me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Flirting with a fish. How's it going?
Is it true that like a piece of reflective art, music, a theater or films or anything, comes from a deeper sense of pain?
So
For you?
it has been with things like my solo project. A lot of the stuff that I'm really proud of usually comes from a place of pain or discomfort. The fabric of existence came from a place of me doubting who I was and me trying to rethink my entire personality right before I left my country. At the time, I thought I was moving away. I did not know I would be coming back. So for me, it was dealing with change without even understanding what I'm changing from. That was pain, that was discomfort. That made some damn good art, in my opinion. Elysium dealt with dealing with guilt and judgment, dealing with sins and worries, and at the end of it being rewarded with a bittersweet ending. So you're in hell, but you're in the Garden of Elysium. You committed billions of sins, but you were on the side of the gods. What are you? Right? So things like that comes from a place of discomfort, that comes from a place of pain. But then there's also a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with the pain that is pretty good too. So I'd like to say that the pain does end up making good art, but good art is not dependent on the pain.
This podcast is sponsored by Match My Talent.
So what's the music scene of Delhi that helps you or it doesn't? It doesn't exist for you or it does?
So Delhi right now has quite a lot of independent artists on the rise.
Right.
Delhi's one of those places in India where it may not be the capital in the music scene, but it's definitely a major player. So international artists that come to India will usually play in Mumbai and in Delhi, sometimes in Bangalore. Most of the time it's Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, all three. And a lot of artists from Delhi are now also reaching the international scale. So in Delhi, I have the opportunity to work with people that I wouldn't normally. For example, let's say if I was in Mumbai and I'm doing commercial work, I'm working day in, day out, on making music for films, on making music for ads. All of a sudden, I don't know that one kid in Delhi that just went on his first open mic 3 days ago, and I really liked his voice. So I want to see if I can make something with him. Sure, there's alternatives to that. There's different people in different cities, but I feel like Delhi's that currently undertapped market in India, because Mumbai super saturated, Bangalore super saturated. You come to Delhi, people are like, "Oh, the music scene in Delhi is there's so many great musicians, but no one's doing anything." And the way I like to see that is, well, when they start doing something about it, I want to be there for the beginning.
Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Moksh Dhawan, and you're watching Flirting with a Fish. As you've probably gathered by now, I'm releasing new music every month of this year. To stay posted with the journey, follow me on Instagram at @MokshDhawan_ and find my music on all major stores and streaming services by searching for Moksh Dhawan. That's Moksh Dhawan on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and countless more. Thank you all so much for your support. It means the world to me. Alright, let's get back to the podcast now.
What would you say to an artist who is more back and beyond, more in tier two? Not really Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, no. But has got equal amount of passion and commitment to their music, but nowhere close to a network or an ecosystem. What would you say to them about their own growth?
The best thing about the music industry in the last 20, 30 years is the massive democratization of everything in the process and the massive decentralization of everything in the process. 20, 30 years ago, you would have to go to a major label studio to release an album. Today, I can do that from my laptop. I'd say that's pretty powerful. A random quiet kid sitting in a small town or a small village that has one laptop that may be 10 years old still has enough power to make the music that'll get them to the level of network that they want to get to. If where there's a will, there's a way, right? And that's never been more true than it is today with music. There's a lot of reasons not to do something you don't want to do, but the only reason that you need to do it is that you need to do it to get where you want to be.
Period.
So, yeah. If you want to do something, you'll find a way.